Hello, thank you for joining me here on the News Summary. I'm Riza Shataeva with the latest news from Kazakhstan. The past week was full of good news for Kazakhstan. The country has officially joined the World Trade Organization on July 27th. President Nursultan Nazarbayev signed a protocol which finalized the country's membership in Geneva, a document that completed 19 years of negotiations with the WTO and allowed Kazakhstan to become 162nd member of the organization. What will change in Kazakhstan's economy after joining the World Trade Organization? Watch our next story to learn more about the negotiations that have taken place in Geneva.
According to protocol, the Kazakh delegation has confirmed its request of accession at the Secretariat of the WTO. Only after that, the representatives of all member countries gathered in the main hall. After a brief voting, the long-awaited decision emerged. Kazakhstan has become an official member of the WTO. President Nursultan Nazarbayev could not hold his emotions. Kazakhstan decided to take an important and necessary for the country step for the further development of its economy at the initiative of the head of state.
Почти 20 лет мы вели эти переговоры.
We have held talks for almost 20 years. I think it proves our persistence. We were ready to continue to negotiate even further to get to today's agreement. Thank you very much. An impressive work has been accomplished throughout the joint work. We are sincerely grateful to each of the WTO member states for the constructive approach and support of the negotiation process. I also want to express my gratitude to the WTO Secretariat, represented by its director, Mr. Roberto Azevedo, for high professionalism and significant contribution to the success of these challenging negotiations.
Значительный вклад в успешное проведение этих непростых переговоров.
Where trust, openness, good faith are so important. So once again, we're delighted to have you with us today. For Kazakhstan, this is a recognition of the efforts that you have made over recent years and your commitment to this process. It is an endorsement of the extensive program of reforms which you have undertaken.
Throughout the course of the negotiations, the Kazakh economists advocated and argued on the tariff policy and the preservation of state benefits. The Kazakh Minister for Economic Integration, Janar Ayjanova, took important part in the defending country's interests. She managed to achieve the happy medium in order for Kazakhstan to join the WTO on favorable terms. The minister has told about innovations that are soon to be implemented.
This
means that foreign investors with 100% capital will be able to provide services in the Kazakh telecommunications market. This will ensure lower prices and better range of services provided in this sector. These services are important not only for people but also for business.
Это не только важно для населения, но также важно и для бизнеса.
Kazakhstan will unconditionally comply with all terms of the agreement. The WTO membership ensures great possibilities. Over the past 20 years, the country had to change almost 350 different bills. Under the new terms, all tariffs and duties will now be brought to the international standards. Foreign investors will have more doors open to invest in the economy of Kazakhstan, and Kazakhstan's business will also actively explore new directions.
Инвесторы, которые будут приходить.
In priority sectors, investors are exempt of corporate tax, income tax, and land tax for 10 years and property tax for 8 years. The state is ready to compensate 30% of investment expenditures after commissioning facilities. Investors can attract foreign labor without any quotas and permits. In addition, we have established a visa-free regime for investors of 20 countries. The lengthy WTO accession for Kazakhstan was caused by several factors, according to WTO representatives. As a member of the Customs Union and then the Eurasian Economic Union, Kazakhstan was forced to negotiate all items with its closest neighbors. Even Ukraine, which cooperates with Kazakhstan within only the framework of bilateral agreement, is now hoping to step up its economic integration. Kazakhstan has always been a very good market for Ukraine. The country is a regular consumer of our products. The same situation is observed in Ukraine. People buy products from Kazakhstan. Therefore, it seems to me that we have a bright joint future.
Kazakhstan, but it's a great play to WTO as well. It was the big player that was still not a member of this organization. This is just a small token of the importance that we give to Kazakhstan being a member of the WTO.
After the WTO accession, Kazakhstan has managed to retain the agriculture subsidies at 8.5%. Public incentives will remain for mechanical engineering and vehicle assembly. However, the telecommunications market will undergo slight changes. All restrictions for foreign investors will be removed. Very soon, foreign companies will be able to provide banking and insurance services in Kazakhstan for the first time ever. After the completion of the official ceremony of Kazakhstan's accession to the WTO, Nursultan Nazarbayev's visit to Geneva continued. The president visited the local world's second largest branch of the UN. The head of the branch showed Nazarbayev the exhibition hall titled Kazakhstan. The Swiss say this exposition is technically the most difficult and is often visited by different guests.
Almaty authorities and volunteers are taking measures to eliminate the consequences of the recent mudslide. It will take up to 3 weeks to restore the infrastructure of the village hit by the mudslide. A specially formed commission has revealed the scale of the damage. Every family whose homes have been flooded with mud will receive 200,000 tenge aid.
Currently, experts of the formed commission check every house and test them for living conditions, while insurance companies consider indemnification for car owners.
Комиссия, которая сейчас работает, она будет производить оценку на дальнейшее.
The commission, which is working at the moment, will produce further studies for the suitability for further accommodation under current rules, which have been adopted by the Maslihat in Almaty. Families who have suffered from the disaster have the right to request and receive up to 100 monthly calculation indexes as compensation at the expense of the local budget. Volunteers distribute humanitarian assistance and water, clean the dirt in the courtyards, and cook to help the local population, while local cafes and restaurants send food packages. Also, a mobile canteen has been deployed. We are giving out 2 5-liter water bottles and a packed lunch. There are no rocks along our street that sustained the most damage, only some dirt. The city administration, road workers, military are helping us, and emergency aid was given to us as well. We want to thank the volunteers very much.
Огромный рахмет человеческий. Хочу сказать также волонтерам. Плотина полностью в удовлетворительном состоянии.
At present, the dam is in a completely stable condition, passing about 2.5 cubic meters of water per second. The mud flow storage capacity is 1,200,000 cubic meters. The recent mud flow was about 150,000 of sediment.
Принесено на нос около 150 тысяч кубов.
So far, no cases of intestinal infections have been reported, but disinfection of 600 yards has been carried out in order to avoid infectious diseases.
More than half of the drowned in waters of southern Kazakhstan this year were unattended children. The local rescue service has registered 34 drowning accidents since the beginning of the year. Emergency specialists say that almost all the tragedies occur in uninspected water basins.
4 people died at the Badam River since the season beginning. One more tragedy happened there recently. 3 young men flipped while riding a scooter. 2 of them were rescued, and the third body was found only the next day. Investigators say the trouble would not have happened if the guy had had a life vest on. The prohibited for swimming spots are under special control of the police and rescuers now, and regular checks are carried out on the territory of the Badam River. Children are considered main trespassers here.
Установлены во всех местах запрещающие знаки.
Signs which prohibit swimming in these areas have been installed in all places. There are stones and ooze at the bottom, and children dive and get stuck and then drown.
Большие камни, потом собирается там ил, который при нырянии дети ноги не могут вытащить оттуда.
The summer is in full swing. The temperatures rise over 40 Celsius, and people in search of escape from the heat find shelter at the nearest ponds. According to rescuers, the main causes of accidents are swimming at non-designated areas, alcohol, and human negligence. We keep explaining to people who vacation here that they should exercise caution and be careful in water, but many do not even listen to us and swim under the influence of alcoholic beverages. Handouts with safety regulations in designated swimming areas have been spread among adults and children. However, it is almost impossible to cover the 137 ponds in the region, as there are only 4 water rescue stations. The outposts only cover the Bugunska Reservoir and Koshkarata River, while the majority of tragedies occur in places without the lifeguards.
Over 30 unscrupulous construction companies of Astana have been named at the city's administration office. What type of companies should be avoided and how to properly invest in real estate in Astana? More details in our next story.
Ivan Shipilov was supposed to have a housewarming party 2 years ago, but instead of enjoying his life in the long-awaited apartment, he frequents the construction site to this day. However, the Astana resident can't even get onto the premises of the construction site. Unfortunately, there are over 230 similar cases.
Well,
I bought an apartment here in this house. On the internet, I have been observing the process of the construction by a company called Azbuka Zhilya. The company has been awarded the Company of the Year prize and owns numerous certificates, but they were to commission the building in 2013. Now it is 2015.
The city mayor's office estimated that there are more than 30 such unscrupulous construction companies in Astana. City authorities claim the problem is that construction companies sell the apartments without a complete set of documents. Along with permission to build housing, businessmen do not receive the right to sell it. This requires getting more licenses. The situation is too bad that even the city mayor's office held a press conference. Astana officials have warned the city residents about illegal construction and even talked about the first sign at which the buyer of apartments should be wary accurately.
There is a very good partial payment system estimated for 10, sometimes 15 years without any prepayments or down payments. All these favorable conditions exist only in order to attract investors' money. People should be cautious when builders don't conclude agreements without a down payment.
Договор будет заключен только после того, как производится предоплата. Это тоже должно настораживать.
Now the upset buyers are trying to establish their own schemes to jointly counter the unscrupulous builders because the city does not allocate funds to resume the construction work. The city administration recommends to search for solutions on their website with a full sequence of actions described in details in order to help people identify dubious builders when purchasing housing.
A new online service, Ayazamat, helps Kazakh citizens to assess the quality of government services. The project is hoped to raise legal awareness of the population and active involvement in the monitoring of the quality of the public services. The new system will help the authorities identify gaps between the state services and the population's needs. The project was launched on August 1st in Astana. The service will soon become available in other cities of the country.
A special center for strategic analysis has been created under the movement Kazakhstan 2050. The center will analyze all these stories and we will define the most important basic problems that bother people the most in connection with receiving public services.
The Nazarbayev University held medical training for African specialists last week. Together with the United Nations Development Program, the Nazarbayev University organized workshops on epidemiology, biomedical research, and public health. 24 experts from various African countries attended lectures given by scholars of the Center for Life Sciences of the Nazarbayev University. In addition to academic studies, foreign guests learned to carry out biomedical research. The seminar organizers are confident that the newly acquired skills will help Africa specialists in their daily work. According to the ambassador of South Africa to Kazakhstan, Shiri Soni, these lectures will help the students of Kazakhstan and African countries to deepen ties and exchange knowledge and best practices.
Kazakhstan has committed to move from a recipient of aid to a giver of aid. I think this is the first opportunity that we are seeing as a benefit to the African continent. And it's in a very appropriate area of work in the medical field.
I work for the National AIDS Coordinating Agency. I'm very thankful and grateful to have been a part of this experience because the Kazakh government gave us something that we'll take back to try and develop ourselves and for the betterment of our health service in terms of response and in terms of behavioral change, so that our health sector could work better.
A virtual warehouse will be launched by 2017 and will become available to every Kazakh citizen. A special product labeling system on the imported commodity will give consumers access to the information about the manufacturer, terms of import, expiration dates, and certification.
The information about goods imported into the country will be available online. A smartphone with access to the internet would suffice to obtain full information about a certain product. That is, all the information about the imported goods, sold goods, will be entered into a virtual storage. One would just have to enter the required code of any product on the web portal. If the product doesn't exist in the database, it means it was smuggled into the country. And the consumer will already think whether to purchase such product or not. The Finance Ministry announced that it is profitable for the consumer and regulatory authorities to track imported goods from the moment of entry into the country and until the end of its realization. However, the system to track the entire supply chain does not exist anywhere in the world. The most important thing is that the Tax Bureau and the Customs Services will work together. All payments and duties of the imported products will be stored in one database. At the moment, these processes are separated, hence there's the inability to control the movement of the goods. This project has been developed in the framework of 100 Steps program. These products will be first processed, and only then they will pass the procedure of customs clearance related to the payment of fees. But not every product can pass through the customs clearance. Only those of selected categories, such as products for military purposes or necessary for the elimination of consequences of natural disasters. The officials from the Ministry of Finance propose to expand the list of such products and to include in this list companies of the free economic zones and free warehouses, among them the automobile manufacturing and confectionery enterprises. The relevant bill is being prepared so that the project will be implemented in 2017.
Nearly 5 billion eggs will be produced in Kazakhstan this year, according to the Union of Poultry Farmers. The output will cover the needs of the domestic market and help farmers increase exports. However, some questionable products are still imported from abroad, even though most of them have no proper certification. Industry experts believe that in order to protect the domestic market, Kazakhstan needs to change the technical regulations of the imported goods.
According to the technical regulations, poultry farmers can voluntarily label products. According to the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, each year about 1 billion eggs are smuggled into the country. Therefore, many domestic poultry farmers insist on the introduction of mandatory labeling requirements. It is often the case that if a label has an expiry date, store owners simply stick a new one with the new expiry date. Therefore, consumers are at risk, as they do not know the actual date of production of the eggs.
Поэтому это большой риск для покупателей, которые покупают такие яйца. Значит, они не знают реальную дату производства этого яйца.
However, not all industry representatives agree to include the date of manufacture in the mandatory labeling. According to them, the new requirement may adversely affect the business of domestic entrepreneurs. Countries of the Customs Union do not indicate the date. We ask to include the date voluntarily. If you supply the store with fresh eggs, they can be stored there until finally the date expires. You know, when an egg is fresh, fresh eggs have a hard shell. Ruslan Sharipov has proposed to indicate only the category and the manufacturer. The date, in his opinion, may mislead consumers, because not all customers know that a regular table egg at the desired temperature can be stored for 90 days. However, according to producers, the mandatory labeling can eliminate the intermediary sellers who purchase the product and wait for the price increase. In addition, it will limit those who supply old imported goods in the country. Our products are imported onto the territory of Belarus and are controlled well enough. And even on the territory of Russia, our companies such as Kublai, they are imported. For example, in the Moscow region, they have quite strict requirements. And why should we not submit requirements that are really within our legislation?
Как говорится, требований не предъявите, которые действительно в рамках нашего законодательства.
According to the representatives of the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, amendments to the technical regulations have already been developed and currently are being considered by the Ministry of Agriculture.
The World Health Organization is concerned over the increased number of deaths from non-infectious diseases taking place in Kazakhstan. According to the WHO, 86% of deaths in Kazakhstan are related to cardiovascular diseases, cancer and diabetes. One of the major reasons for these disappointing statistics is malnutrition. Consumers don't always have the proper information about the food products in use, and this is where the special identification marks may help, the WHO experts say.
People have an abundance of colorful and tasty products at supermarkets. The stickers on the products attract consumers with a choice of words like nutritional bar, excellent quality, and healthy food. But years later, consumers are diagnosed with diabetes, though it could have been avoided. Canadian doctors attempted to introduce intimidating pictures on harmful products following the practice of the anti-smoking campaign. However, it didn't work out. Both manufacturers and consumers themselves were against it. The practices in Finland, Hungary, and Australia found an alternative, though. In these countries, the authorities have imposed additional taxes on foods with high content of fat, salt, and sugar. You want junk food? Then you ought to pay more. In the developed countries, the consumption of products containing over 2% of trans fatty acids is considered dangerous. It is necessary to prohibit its consumption. Regulatory authorities and bodies shall pay special attention to this issue within the customs union. The WHO has proposed a simple and easy way to understand the content of a wide range of food products. First of all, the stickers on unhealthy foods should not attract too much attention, especially on the products for children. No colorful labels with famous cartoon characters. Secondly, a clear and comprehensive labeling with the contents of the levels of sugar, fat, and salt. Then consumers will make the right choice. For instance, I wanted to buy yogurt. Why? It is only 1% or 1 gram of fat. It is a fruit yogurt. And why sugar added? Why there are 13 grams of sugar per 100 grams? You see, 13 grams of sugar per 1 deciliter of yogurt. This means you give your child 2 deciliters, 27 grams. This is 4 to 5 large spoons of sugar. Will you add it into milk for your child? Absolutely not. The WHO recommendations are simple to follow. Each of the participating countries has the right to decide by itself whether to follow them or not. However, the products on shelves of supermarkets are being overpopulated each day, but the information on the contents is being neglected. How much sugar, salt, or fat do they contain? We can only guess.
Kazakh astronaut Aydin Aimbetov, third Kazakh national who's about to fly to space, is currently taking his pre-flight training in Russia. The launch of the Soyuz rocket is scheduled for September 1st. In our next story, you can watch an exclusive footage of the training.
The Kazakh cosmonaut is training every day, 9 hours a day, with no days off. The exercises on the training vehicle of the Russian segment of the International Space Station have been already practiced to a state of reflex and mechanism. Aydin Aimbetov also has 6 years' experience at the Cosmonaut Training Center. The crew is working in harmony. We have an experienced commander. He has already been trained. He flew and was an alternate cosmonaut. Both members of his crew, of course, are beginners, but with good preparation. Aydin is well trained to the extent required from him.
Aydin, он в том объеме, требования, которые к нему предъявляются, уже хорошо подготовлен, вполне достаточно.
The tasks of the second flight engineer, Aimbetov, include partially the control of the ship and a large scientific research, including monitoring of the Earth's surface, study of optical phenomena, as well as experiments with various materials in space. The Kazakhstan's program has been developed by country's leading universities with the latest technological advances.
Результаты разработок научной программы.
The results of developments of scientific programs in orbit are those that a simple man sees every day. Their children wear diapers that have been developed for long-duration space flights. The same cell phones that were developed, sublimated products which were taken from the food ration of astronauts.
Это те же самые сотовые телефоны, которые также были разработаны для космических полетов, и сублимированные продукты, которые взяты также из рациона питания космонавтов.
Sticking to the good science, Colonel Aydin Aimbetov does not give out autographs. He's taken an amulet made by his younger daughter for good luck with him.
Настроение перед достижением своей цели,
I feel very good before reaching my goal toward which I have been going for many years, but I still feel the load of responsibility on my shoulders. Although I'm a professional test cosmonaut, at the same time, I will represent my country.
Испытатель но и в то же время будут представлять свою страну.
The training in the Star City will last another 3 weeks. The flights of primary and backup crews to Baikonur are scheduled on August 19, when the final stage of preparation will be completed.
A unique collection of antique Soviet radios is currently displayed at the Republican Center of Space Communications. Almost all of the exhibits are still functional. The oldest exhibit, a pre-Second World War sample, is almost 80 years old. Radios that were manufactured later are a rarity as well.
Each of these radios reflects its own era, but also it is an indicator of how quickly Soviet radio engineering leaped forward. Even these radios of the 60s are already considered as rarities. Viktor Lefter, head of the Center of Space Communications, while being a Soviet school student with enthusiasm, collected and soldered all these schemes and boards. Almost all radio receivers are functional. This one is considered as the most valuable, 6H1, made in 1938. It is a sample of the pre-war era and it is almost 80 years old. All subsequent samples of radios were less cumbersome. As early as 1957, amateurs of radio enjoyed a relatively tiny radio called Tourist. It is made with vacuum tubes. That is, the first Soviet portable radios used vacuum tubes. All the following radios were made on semiconductors and transistors. The predecessors of modern radios and monograph Molotov, huge radio tubes of connection stations, and the legendary Sova, which helped seek for radio ruffians. More than 50 such radios are collected in the Center of Space Communication. There are also samples of Kazakh radios. The first step was to build this museum to attract young people, our children, to draw their attention away from the internet. Specialists of the Center of Space Communication believe that in order to find out how humanity went into space, we need to understand how the Earth connection developed. Therefore, it is planned to open radio enthusiasts clubs and open the doors of this unique museum for children.
The first Expo 2017 facility will be commissioned before end of October. The coordination center of the World's Fair in Astana will become a vivid example of a futuristic, environmentally friendly smart building. This will be the first building of its kind to appear in Kazakhstan. Stay with me and learn about the solutions and technologies that are being applied in construction of the future exposition's infrastructure.
The office of the organization has all the attributes of a green building: wind turbines on the roof, special glass which do not let the ultraviolet rays in, the special air conditioning, and a heating system is provided indoors. Only environmentally friendly materials were used for interior decoration. Geothermal wells are drilled around the buildings according to the new technology. They supply 600 kilowatts. In winter, it supplies heat, in summer, cold. According to the project, there are 85 wells. Currently, 33 more wells are being drilled at a depth of 133 meters. Along with the coordination office of the exhibition Expo 2017, construction of 2 facilities, training center for parades and warehouses complex is underway. Building materials mainly were manufactured in Kazakhstan. Even the unique 5-centimeter 3-layer multifunctional glass and wind turbines are planned to be purchased from domestic companies.
Мы в ходе строительно-монтажных работ полностью отделочные.
During the course of construction and installation works, we fully acquire finishing and cladding structures and multi-functional glass from Kazakh producers.
У казахстанских производителей.
Conference rooms, exhibition halls, multimedia center, hardware, and observation areas will be constructed on an area of almost 30,000 square meters.
1000-year anniversary of Almaty has been included in the UNESCO's list of anniversaries. Kazakhstan's largest city is hoped to become the country's top tourist destination, along with ancient towns of Turkestan, Oturar, and Sauran. The celebration of the millennial anniversary is planned to take place next year.
Но я должен сказать, что работа с ЮНЕСКО не исчерпывается только Великим Шелковым путем.
The work with UNESCO is not confined only to the Great Silk Road. We have an idea to nominate the great monuments of the steppe, and I believe that in the near future they will be also included. They are Beryl Issyk Boralday in Almaty and a number of monuments of the Sacs.
Лицо историческое Казахстана, это Боралдай в Алмате и целый ряд удивительных памятников эпохи Саков.
Meanwhile, the Kazakh culture and arts will be actively promoted overseas. The Kazakh Ministry of Culture and Sports has developed a nationwide project called the Eternal Heritage. It implies the worldwide presentation of the country's most striking cultural achievements, including Astana as one of the fastest-growing modern capitals of the world. The ancient city of Taraz is preparing for one of Kazakhstan's biggest events of this year, the celebration of the 550th anniversary of the Kazakh Khanate. Learn about the preparation progress in our next story.
The international airport Aliya Ata is undergoing the largest in its history reconstruction by the celebration of the anniversary of Kazakh Khanate. It will accommodate thousands of passengers from different countries. The terminal is being renovated first of all. The check-in procedures will only take a few minutes now. The south gates of Taraz will also be reconstructed. The so-called bas-reliefs are being installed here. Besides, the monument Kazakh Khanate has already started its construction. It will take a large area, more than 3 hectares. The park of the first president of Kazakhstan has been also rearranged. This is where a caravan will arrive from China. It will symbolize the Great Silk Road. Currently, about 500,000 of deciduous and coniferous trees grow in the park. There is an amphitheater, fountains, exotic flowers planted in the decorative vases and jars. People from all regions help prepare for the celebration of the anniversary. Taraz today is an overcrowded city. Assistance is provided from all regions of the country because it is a contribution to the common cause. We don't have a lot of time left. We'll have to work day and night. It is good that the weather allows us to prepare for the event. The Mangistau, Kostana and Kizilorda regions provided great assistance. This is our unity, the unity of the people. For the first time, the world will see the real city, the ancient Taraz, which is more than 2,000 years old. Excavation of the settlement was held in the former market of the city. Now archaeologists are willing to reveal the natural open-air museum. Presently, more than 200 people are employed in its restoration. All operational issues were discussed at a special meeting. All the people of Kazakhstan should be involved in these activities. The event should cover all corners of our country. We have little time. I've already appointed the date of celebration. All the preparatory work should be completed by September 25.
These were the major news from Kazakhstan for the past week. Thank you for staying with me. I'll see you here, same time next week. Goodbye.